Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, I have a banger planned for you guys because I am planning to make Bloontonium Mines the map from BTD Battles 2 in BTD6. So this should be a pretty challenging map to make because there's a lot of moving parts with this map that I need to figure out. So the first thing we need to do is we need to choose a background. So what do we want our background to look like? So the background for Bloontonium Mines is a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and make the background like a dark grassy feel. I think this is like the only thing we can actually use. I was thinking about using this background, but I don't think this would really fit the theme of like a dark, dreary like cave. So I think this background will serve a little bit, or serve our purpose a little bit better. So now the next thing we need to figure out is how we're going to make these pathways, because these pathways are going to be a little bit confusing, especially since like this is a map that is supposed to have like multiple pathways. So it's going to be pretty difficult to actually make this. So the first thing that we need to choose is we need to figure out like what pathway we want to use. I'm thinking about using like this pathway because I think this pathway would look pretty good for Bloontonium Mines. But another option that we have is we can always use our tried and true like this pathway, because this pathway looks really good when you have like overlapping paths. So I think that I may actually end up going with this one because I think this one will do a little bit better. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and go with this pathway here. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how we're going to actually design these pathways. So I'm going to go ahead and get like the basic layout of these pathways set up, and I'll bring you guys back in just a second. Now, I think this is going to have to do for like the basic layout. Now, I do have to make another pathway here because we're still missing the inner triangle. So let me go ahead and make that really quick as well, and then we'll go ahead and like figure out exactly what we want to do. So I think this is the way that I actually want to set up my pathways. So both of the pathways come in at the same spot over here, and then the first pathway is going to come over here throughout this larger triangle, and it'll come down here through the bottom. It'll do like an M pattern, and it'll come up here all the way to the top, come down here, and then it'll exit over here on the right hand side. And then the second pathway is a little bit different. It'll come over here, it'll stop here, it'll turn, it'll make it the smaller inner triangle. They'll come over here, do the same end pattern, and it'll come over here, do the opposite direction of the triangle, and exit over here on the same side. So I was thinking about like what like style of pathway that I wanted to use, and honestly, I think this is going to be the best style of pathway that we can come up with for this map. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit because right now it looks a little bit wacky and wonky, and then we'll start working on the actual details of the actual map. All right, so I think that looks pretty good as far as like cleaning up wise goes. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and like turn this into like a dark and dreary cave. So I have a couple of ideas for this, and I think the ideas that I want to go with are actually first, before we do that, let's go ahead and change around one of our paths really quick, because I forgot about something really quick, and I forgot to edit this path because we need to add a water feature down here in the bottom. I can't believe I almost forgot about that. All right, so speaking of water features, so the water feature that I'm going to go with, I'm going to go ahead and go with the dark and dreary one again, because I think that the dark and dreary one would fit like the underground cave a little bit more. So let's go ahead and we'll use this. We'll go ahead and like set it up so this water features will extend all the way over here, and then it'll come up here like this, and it'll come back down here like an M pattern. That way we have a little bit of water on the actual map itself. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and mess around with the center a little bit more, because right now it seems a little bit off balance. So I think what I need to do, I need to change this middle part right here, because I think that's what's messing it up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's this middle part that's messing it up. Like, I know it's not going to be perfect, but I still want it to look like good, right? All right, so let's go ahead. Now that we've edited that one, let's go ahead and edit this one over here. Man, it just makes it look so bad. Maybe we'll just like bear with it, and then I'll add like some props in the center here to like kind of like take away from it. There we go. So let's go ahead and stick with this. Now let's go ahead and come back to the area really quick, and let's go ahead and finish up with the underwater lake here. There we go. I think that should do a perfectly fine. Like, no matter what you guys find like in an underground cavern or stuff like that, it won't be perfect, so I left a little bit of space in between the track and the lake. That way we can add a couple of features to add a little bit of detail once we start like adding more props to the actual map itself. So the first prop that I want to add, I want to go ahead and make it feel like we're in an underground cave. So the idea I have to make it feel like we're in an underground cave is by using the dark rock. So if we use this dark rock and we position it correctly, it should give it the feel or the vibe that we're actually in an underground cave. as long as I do it right. Go ahead and rotate this a bit, and we'll go ahead and do this, and then we'll go ahead and like position these all around the outside of the map. All right, so I think this is coming along pretty nicely. So I went ahead and I used some of these black rocks. I changed around the shapes of them. I went ahead and like tilted some of them. As you guys can see up here, I tilted this one like pretty far to add a little bit of a different aspect to the rock. That way they didn't all look so uniform, if that kind of makes sense. Now, the next thing I'm looking at is I'm looking at these pathways, and I'm thinking to myself that we could do a little bit better. So what if we like turn this into like a mystical underground cavern by adding like a couple of different rocks, and we can also turn like the actual pathways themselves into invisible pathways and then make our own pathways. Because right now they look all right, but I think they could look a little bit better if we made our own. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I don't know if it'll work perfectly, but this is definitely something that I would like to try before I like commit to using a specific pathway. And then we could go a little bit more crazy with like the underground lake, and then we could come up with something a little bit different. And I have a couple of ideas that I think would look really, really cool. So the pathway that I'm thinking about using is, what if I like could turn these into an actual path? So we'll go ahead and like we'll place it over here, and then we'll have like the pathway go throughout the entire map. So I'll go ahead and like get this done, and I'll bring you guys back and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So I'm over here just like placing all these rocks, and I'm like, man, maybe I should have just stuck with the other pathway, because this is taking a little bit longer than I initially thought it was. But I'm doing it to make the map look better, because if this works out, I think the map is going to look really, really cool once I start adding more props and I actually bring the map to life a little bit more. So one of the plans that I have is that instead of like ending the lake in like an M pattern, I'll go ahead and I'll take the lake and I'll have it like exit over here. Like there's a stream going through the middle of this giant cavern. I think that would look so cool. Plus, I've seen a couple of other designs on the map browser that kind of look similar, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring my own aspect, as well as like adding a little bit of an aspect from BTD Battles 2 by using the layout for the Bloontonium mines. The only question is this background gonna be the best, or should I go with a different layout? Like, I was thinking about it, and what if like instead of using the grassy background, I used a water background, and then from the water background, I'll take the mud background, and I'll add the mud background, or the mud area, to this as well, and I think that would look a little bit better. So let me go ahead and finish placing all of these rocks, and then I'll go ahead and give that a try, because I think that would look a little bit better. All right, there we go, and this should do it for the basic layout. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and test this really, really quick. Just make sure that like the rocks don't interfere with like actually like doing damage to balloons. We'll go ahead and like place our solder right here, and we'll go ahead and press play. All right, so the rocks do not interfere at all. Now let's go ahead and make sure like the pathways actually look good with the balloons. Oh yeah, that looks like super good. All right, yeah, this is way better than I initially thought it was. All right, cool. So the one pathway is going to take a really long time for the balloons to actually exit the map, and the one side is still pretty long, but it's not as long as the first side. Man, I actually really like the way that this turned out. All right, cool. And it actually looks really cool with all of the different balloons as well. All right, so now that I know that it works, let me go ahead and start adding a little bit more detail and actually make this map come to life a little bit more. All right, so what if I change the background to this light blue? And then let me go ahead and come down here to this area, delete this area, and then we'll go ahead and add the mud background. We'll make the mud background come all the way over here. It'll come over here, and then it'll come like this. And then we'll grab ourselves another mud background. We'll have the other mud background like over here, like so. And then we'll go ahead and like have this background come all the way, or this mud background come all the way up here. And then how would that look? Maybe with this background, we'll go ahead and like make it come out here a little bit more. Like the stream is like coming through the middle of the like rock section. Let me see. Maybe we'll have like it come like this, and then we'll also have this side over here come down over here like so. After I get rid of this, there we go. So we'll have like the mud background like exit way over here. But if I do that, then I would have to add more rocks down here. All right, let me go ahead and like nix this plan really quick. because I don't like the mud background. I like the grassy background a little bit more. All right, so let me go ahead and redo the option or or what I was doing. So let's go ahead and change the background back over to this. What about this? Well, I guess we could do this. Then we could add like small little islands throughout the entire map to make the map a little bit harder. So what if we made like a island like over here, and then we'll make like another island on or over here, we'll make another island here, and then we'll make a giant island down here at the bottom. I think that would look kind of cool. Let me go ahead and give that a try really quick. All right, I kind of like the way that looks. Like it like makes the map a little bit harder because like you'll have to use like water towers to do like a majority of your damage. So we'll go ahead and like do the M pattern with another like a mud background here. Like, I think this looks a little bit better, right? And then if we don't like the way that the mud background looks, we could always experiment with a couple of different backgrounds as well. There we go. I think that looks pretty neat, right? And then let's go ahead, we'll add a little bit more. We'll go ahead and add like a small one here in the center like this. And then we'll go ahead and like start adding props to bring our map to life a little bit more. Like I was originally just gonna do like a basic like map layout, but I think this is actually turning out to look pretty neat. This is turning out way better than I initially thought it would. All right, so we'll go ahead and make one there. We'll go ahead and make one more over here like this. And then these two islands will make this like super easy, but I don't want to like design like a super hard map. I just want to make like a really fun map by incorporating a map from BTD Battles 2. That's all I really want to do. Like, I'm not trying to like make an expert map here. Maybe for the like the next map or the map after that, we'll go ahead and make like an expert map because all of the maps I've been making have been really easy. So I think it'd be kind of cool to like add a little bit of a harder map. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for the land. Let me just go ahead and like double check to make sure none of the other backgrounds would look good. I guess like the grass background would look pretty neat, but let me go ahead and like change these areas over to this dark green background really quick. Let me change this area over to this. You know what, guys? I kind of like this one a little bit more simply because like it's not like super dark and dreary, because I didn't want to go like for a super dark and dreary look. I want to go for like a kind of like a in between dark and dreary and like kind of bright and vibrant, especially with the props that I'm going to be adding here in just a second. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a little bit of color with some of these stamps. So the question is like, what stamp is going to look the best? Can we add a little bit of color to the outside with like these like I guess like moss stamps? Not really feeling it. Let's try something else. What if we added like these? Like we add like one here, we add like one here, we'll add like another one over here. Just to bring a little bit of color to the background. I think that looks kind of cool. And then we'll add like a couple of like these mud splotches over here because obviously we're in a cave. So it's not going to be like super clean. We'll add like these mud splotches around in different spots to like kind of make it seem like some like stalactites have been like leaking like dirty water onto the ground. I think that would look kind of cool. And then because we are underground, let's go ahead and add like a couple of cracks here. We'll add like a crack here. We'll add like a crack over here. Just add a little bit more detail. Next, we'll add a little bit of like leafy greens from like the water like dragging in leaves from the outside. We'll add like a couple of pile of leaves in the water just to add a little bit more of a vibrancy to this map. And then what about like these purple flowers? I like adding these purple flowers to add a little bit of color to our maps. So I think that would look pretty cool if we just added like a bunch of these just to add a little bit of extra flair to our map. Here we go. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for the stamps. Let's go ahead. What about shade? Can we add some like shades along like the castle or the cave wall to make it seem like it's a little bit darker against the walls? I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I like the way this looks. All right, cool. There we go. We'll add some shades along all of the walls here just to bring our map to life a little bit more. There we go. So that adds a little bit of detail. Like, you guys would never like realize like it's there, but it's there, believe me. All right, and now let's start adding a little bit of a vibrancy to our underground cave. So caves, underground, a couple of things like pop to mind, but the first thing that like pops to my mind is by using these like mushrooms. So can I like place these mushrooms to where like they'll actually look good. Let me go ahead and like place one here. Let's go ahead and copy this. We'll go ahead and rotate it really quick. And then we'll tilt it the other way. There we go. I think that looks pretty cool. Next, now that we have those mushrooms, let's go ahead and like add a couple of mushrooms like this. And they'll like have like small mushroom patches around like the entire cave. And then I have more detail that I want to add with this, but the first thing that we have to do is we have to get these mushrooms placed first. All right, so the only thing I'm doing now is I'm like using different sizes of mushrooms here to add a little bit of like detail with like adding mushroom patches. So we'll go ahead and add a couple more mushrooms over here like this, and I think that looks kind of good. We'll go ahead and use like a smaller mushroom over here to like make a smaller mushroom patch. And then we'll start with the red ones, and then we'll start adding purple ones as well. And then when we're adding this detail, we can't forget to like tilt some of these mushrooms because like all mushrooms aren't going to face like the exact same way. So if we like tilt them, then it'll add a little bit more detail to our map, which is what I'm going for. All right, there we go. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to add some of these purple mushrooms as well. Just to mix up the color a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll add like a couple of small purple ones around here, just to mix up the red color a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and add like a couple of big purple ones in different spots as well. All right, I think that looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add like a big purple one over here. We'll go ahead and tilt it like this way, and then we'll go ahead and like add a couple of smaller ones underneath it. And then let's go ahead and like add like a bunch of them. Then we'll do like a big purple like mushroom field here, and we'll make it look like this is like an invasive species or something like that. There we go. And then we'll add like a couple of red ones underneath these ones as well. I don't know why I said invasive species. I just meant like, well, we'll just add a little bit of a color with like the purple ones. And then we'll go ahead and add ourselves a couple of red ones as well. All right, so I think these purple ones are starting to look really good, like mixed in the map. Now I want to add a couple of red ones around here as well to add a little bit more color. And then I'm gonna go ahead and erase this stamp because we really don't need that stamp if we have like the mushrooms here. But I was thinking about it, and what if we like added some like this underneath these not that one, maybe if we did this underneath these mushrooms. What do you guys think? Like, I kind of like it because it mixes up the dark background a little bit more, which is what I'm going for. Actually, let me go ahead and erase this crack because now that I'm adding this stuff, the crack really doesn't make too much sense. There we go. I kind of like the way that looks. Now, the next thing I want to do, let's go ahead, come back over here to props. And I want to add a little bit of like a magical effect to these mushrooms. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add like this glowing effect over here underneath both of these like tall green mushrooms, because I think that would look pretty cool. And then underneath or over top of these mushrooms, we'll add like these firefly effects to make it seem like these mushrooms are magical. And we'll do that with each individual mushroom. And then the bigger ones will have like more effects, and the smaller ones will have less effects. And I think that would really make our map come to life a little bit more by adding these in the background. All right, there we go. So we added a little bit of effects around these mushrooms to make the mushrooms come to life a little bit more. And then what if I like added like some of these like purple flowers along the wall? And I could add a little bit of an effect with these as well, because this will add a lot more color to our cave. And I think this would look pretty cool. And then it'll like mix up the cave walls a little bit, because like the cave walls look a little bit too bland. But if we add like these purple flowers along the wall, it'll add a little bit of detail, and it'll make it seem like there's more life in the cave than there originally was. All right, so we added a couple of purple flowers along the walls. The next thing that we can add is we can add like these vines. And I think these vines along the wall would look like super interesting. And these vines along the wall will really make our map come to life even more, because this will add even more detail, which is exactly what I'm going for. There we go. And then we'll add a couple more vines like this. And then we want these vines to be connecting. And yeah, dude, that looks so cool. Let me go ahead and add this vine over here. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. That way we have a couple of different styled vines. There we go. And then the vines will be like stuck into the ground. And I have a couple of different ideas for like the grinds or the end of the vines here. But I don't know if I want to like take it or take away from it too much, because I really like the way that it looks here. Now, I'm not sure how it's going to look with like the balloons coming through, but I do like the overall vibe that I have going on for this map so far. Now, what if we added like these small like bushes underground? Like, what if we added like a couple over here? We'll go ahead and like tilt it a little bit. We'll go ahead and rotate it, and then we'll go ahead and do this. And then we'll add like an island where like this style of tree is. Just like mix it up just a little bit. Right? Because I mean, this island has mushrooms, but I don't want to do like both islands of mushrooms. Let's just go ahead and do this. I think this would look pretty good. Here we go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this, and then instead, let's put something else in the middle here. Maybe let's come back to props. Let's check out some of the flowers a little bit more. Maybe we'll do like a small island where we have a bunch of these like small bushes, some of these like small colorful bushes. I think this would really make our map come to life a little bit more. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but I'm just like thinking of different things that we could add to make it seem like our map is a little bit more vibrant, right? All right, so I went ahead and I made like a magical flower patch here by using this little like warp pad here. I went ahead and like I turned it on its side to add a little bit of a glowing effect, because I thought that would look kind of cool, because I'm going for like a magical underground cave. That's exactly what I wanted to go for, and I think it's coming along quite nicely. Next thing I want to do, can I add a couple of these like star effects? No, the star effects wouldn't look the best, but I can add a couple more of these water features, I think, or these water ripples, because I thought those looked pretty nice. Is there anything else that I can add here? Like, I don't want to like go too crazy. I mean, I've already gone pretty crazy, but I don't want to go like even more crazy. Let me see. Is there anything else that we could add down here that would look good? Let me see. We could add a palm tree. The palm tree wouldn't really fit too well. Let's just go ahead and add a couple of lily pads as well. And we'll go ahead and like place these around the map, just to add a little bit more color. Even though we already have a bunch of color on this map, I want to add even more. And then we're going to add ourselves a couple more lily pads as well, just because like the singular flower lily pads, they really don't make too much sense unless there's like a bunch of other different types of lily pads as well. There we go. And add a couple more lily pads over here, a couple more over here. Yeah, this is really coming to life, guys. Man, I'm loving this so far. Now, the last thing is this area down here and this area here. Like, I was thinking about what to do, and what if we just like add another one of these? Then we'll go ahead and like tilt it this way. We'll go ahead and rotate it. Tilt. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to like take away from like placing towers here. So what if we just add, we could add a couple of rocks. You know what? I think that's good. Actually, instead of adding rocks, let's add a couple. No, because those wouldn't make it any sense if they were there. Let's go ahead and add a couple of like stamps with the bright vibrant green color, because we already have like a bunch of vibrant green on the map. So if we add a little bit more, it wouldn't hurt at all. Plus, it would take away from these like barren spots. And then we'll add a couple of rocks as well, because we are underground, so it makes sense to have a couple of rocks underground. And then, is there anything else we could add? Like some, I don't know why I'm adding these sunspots, but I'm gonna add them anyways, just because like I feel like it adds a little bit of detail. Next thing I want to do, let me go ahead and remove a couple of these like stamps. Stamps that I feel like don't add, and they just like seem to clutter up the background a little bit. And by removing a couple of these stamps, I think it'll make the map look a little bit better. And I think that looks good. Let me remove this stamp here and this stamp. Again, like we don't want to have too much, because if we have too much, then that's when the stamps are going to start seeming like clutter. And we don't want it to seem like clutter. We just want it to seem like detail. Let's go and remove that one. We'll remove this one up here, and we'll remove this. Instead, we'll add one more leafy green patch up at the top here, like this. And I think that looks way better. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a look really quick to make sure like there aren't too many spots that have too much clutter. Let's go ahead, we'll remove that stamp there. And let's go ahead and remove this stamp. And I think that looks good. I think that looks good for a remastered version of Bloontonium Mines. I really like the way that this turned out. All right, so that's gonna do it for the map. The next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and like choose a background effect. So since this is like a magical area, let's just go ahead and add like this in the background. That way it's kind of like a magical atmosphere, like floating in the air of the magical mine. And then let's go ahead and choose our music. We need to choose something that has like a magical vibe to it. All right, let's just go with Flameco Synthwave. I kind of like the way that this sounds. So now that we have the music, we have the background effects, let's go ahead and play our map to make sure that our map is actually beatable, which I'm fairly certain it is. It's just like, I mean, this is a pretty easy map. Again, I just want to make a really fun map based on the map Bloontonium Mines. So as always, I will be playing on an easy standard because I want you guys to beat this map on Chimps, so let me know what you guys think. And obviously, if I play it on Chimps, I'm going to give you guys a solution, and I don't want to give you guys a solution. I want you guys to find the solution for yourself. But yeah, I really like this, dudes. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my remastered version of a Bloontonium Mines. And I know, guys, it's a super easy map, but I wasn't going for a hard map. I just want to come up with a really cool design, and I think I achieved what I was going for. Like, I really like this custom-made path that I made, because I think this looks way cleaner than using the paths that Ninja Kiwi has in the game. So hopefully in like future updates, Ninja Kiwi will add like different pathways that blend together and overlap better, because right now in Bloons TD6, with the map editor, at least, there really isn't too much of that. So again, guys, let me know in the comments below if you guys have any maps, either from BTD6, BTD Battles 2, BTD Battles 1, BTD5. If you guys have any maps that you guys would like to see me make a remixed version of, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, because I have a bunch of ideas that I'd like to do now, but it'd be really cool if you guys gave me a little bit of feedback at what you guys would like to see me remaster in Bloons TD6. All right, dudes, so here we are on round 39. Pretty much as I expected, this is a super easy map, at least on easy mode. I didn't play it on Chimps mode because I want to see if you guys can actually beat this map on Chimps yourselves. And of course, the last thing we need to do is we need to rename our map. So what I'm going to call this map is Bloontonium. Let me go ahead and look up how to spell Bloontonium really quick. Okay, so I was close. It's Bloontonium. Oh wait, I pretty much had it correct. I was just a little bit off. All right, and then we'll do Bloontonium Mines Remastered. There we go. All right, dudes, that's gonna do it for the video. If you guys would like to play this map for yourselves, here is the map code. But anyways, dudes, that's gonna do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button, and I'll see you, dudes, in the next one.